Hello. So, this part is about the higher states of consciousness, how to reach them, and how they feel. So, basically, it's about God, the source, and however else you want to call it. There are so many different ways for people to describe it. Some people even say that the void is the highest thing that there is, or some say that it's the oneness and the allness that you can feel and experience, that it's the connection to everything. So, what is it actually about? It's about finding that connection to the being that is in you. It's about feeling it. It's about being guided through life and guiding yourself. It's about insights that come. It's about intuition. It's about those feelings of love and connection and peace. It's not about going somewhere and meditating in a very secluded space where you don't have anything to trigger you. It's about going through life, through all of those everyday activities, through triggers that come into your life, through basically anything, and dealing with that in a conscious way, full of awareness and still full of love, and consciously working on yourself all the time. Because spirituality and consciousness, it's like a full-time job. It's not something that you can skip when you are at work doing your thing, or when you are at your family's house with your parents or with your partner. It's something that is going to be present your whole life. And even if you feel like you are not spiritual enough, you are not conscious enough, you are forgetting it in the moment, it doesn't really matter. You are still there, you are always on that path. Even people who are lower on this kind of ladder, they are basically all on that path, even if they don't have that awareness to actually notice it, even if they don't have awareness about being able to see God, or see themselves, or see and feel that there is just more which we might not see. So it's just about awareness and becoming conscious of all of those things. They will still be there. It's just about the question, will you notice them? And that's the same with God and those higher states. They are there. They are always there. They will be there in your life. They are guiding you. We say there are no, what do you say? Like there is no thing that happens randomly. It's all been planned. So even if you feel like you are not making the right choice, that you are not doing something right, that you don't know what you should do, all of that has been pre-planned. You are here, and every choice you make, every consequence that comes with it, it will be the right thing for your level of consciousness, for your level of awareness at that moment. And it might lead to things which you are not happy with, which you don't feel grateful for, which you just think, oh, why did this happen to me? Where you start hating God. But at the end, it still has a deep benefit for your own growth, because it might lead you to be stronger, to be more aware, to go into all of that bad stuff, to experience more of the light. So all of that is just in perfect harmony with God and the universe. And it's not about it all being set in stone. It's about having so many different probabilities. It's about being able to make choices. And when you reach that area where you are able to realize you can make choices in every moment of your life, that is where you reach that level where you are able to go into so many different probabilities and what some say realities, because you can choose to basically drive on your holiday with your car to that destination you have chosen, or to make a stop wherever you want to, or to suddenly change your decision and go somewhere else, or whatever else you decide on doing. And that moment where you don't react but you actually act, that is the most beautiful moment you can have, because that is consciousness, that is awareness, that is taking responsibility and ownership of your life, and basically manifesting and acting as God in your everyday tasks in your life, even with the smallest activity. So you can always ask yourself, am I being conscious in this moment? For example, when you brush your teeth, how do you do it? Is it just something you go through every morning, like a routine? You don't even realize you are doing it. You just wake up, go to the bed, go to the bathroom, half asleep, and you just go through it. Or is it something you do consciously? Is it something you do with enjoyment? Is it something you feel connected to? How does that activity feel to you? Do you feel as if your life, as if everything is in flow, as if you are just a part of this big organism? Or do you feel like you have to control, that you cannot trust it? How do you feel? Are you skeptical? Or are you letting yourself be guided and let everything happen naturally? Because if you fully trust the universe, if you really trust God, all those things will fall naturally. Everything will happen naturally. It will just come into your life because you trust it. And even if it comes in a way where you didn't think it was the way it should have come, where you feel like that's not what I wanted, it's still going to be the right thing. And when you learn to trust that, even though you are skeptical, then you are connected to yourself and to God. And it's such a beautiful topic to talk about. I feel like I'm just, ranting and telling you about my joy, how all of this feels. And I hope you can feel it. I'm just trying to send you all of those emotions of happiness and this space of being open and just connected with all the small things, with yourself, with other people, with the clothes you have on, with pillows, with physical things, with nature, where you just feel it's all a part of your system, where you feel love for the tiniest detail of the universe. Because when you reach that state and you realize you are God, you're gonna see everything as a part of yourself. You can imagine God, what I like to say, you have maybe heard this before, like this big network, and it's all flowing down and connecting, like a mushroom network or the cells. And the energy is just flowing from God downwards into us in all of those different individual ways for God to experience life. So it's beautiful. And once you are really able to go up on that scale, then you will just realize that you are yourself, God. You are connected to that source. You are actually looking at everything at one time. And that's something that is mind-blowing and mind-opening. So you might not be able to handle it. You might not be able to fathom it because it's huge. You know, you are able to manage your life and experience your life and stay focused on your life, probably more or less. And then you can imagine God experiencing life through every single thing that there is, through every human being, through every animal, through the plants, through the planet Earth, through nature, through everything. Because everything is manifested consciousness, manifestation of the source. And when you open your brain to that idea, to that awareness, to this massive thought, because it's huge. Now you can notice that when you're maybe on a plane or high up on the building or on a mountain. And when you look down, you can feel more connected to all of that because it gives you a perspective. It gives you a perspective how small everything is once you're there looking down and noticing maybe people looking so small, cars or roads, and then you can connect yourself to all that and realize on a higher level there is this consciousness which is managing all of that, managing the perfection that life is. And it's just a wonder in itself how everything works perfectly, you know, how you don't have hair growing in the middle of your forehead, but just here on your eyebrow. How you have long hair here and short hair here. How you have teeth in your mouth, but not in your vagina, even if the tissue is similar. So basically, we are so perfect once we realize it. And nature too, everything is so interconnected and so perfectly managed by God. So just take a moment to acknowledge that, huge mind-blowing thought, this truth that you might also feel resonating in you. How amazing all of this universe is. How everything is in harmony. How your whole life is connected to Source. How you are connected to it. How there is beauty in every small thing. How mind-blowing all of that is, realizing how huge that consciousness must be to realize you are handling your life. But there are so many other lives that are also being lived at every moment, all the time. Because it's another thing, you know, we perceive time, we perceive space, we perceive the physical form, because the vibration of all of that is so slow, because the energy is so dense, you might even feel it. I recommend doing the energetic awareness exercise because you might know more what I'm talking about, because you might experience it. And this density causes us to experience time in this linear way. And that's not how it is. It's just because it's so slow. So when you reach those higher states and feel that very quick vibration, you might realize that everything is happening at once, that every moment is the now. And you can feel it when you sit and look at me, and then you might realize this is the now. This is the now. This moment here. This now. 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 Here. Here and now. Here and now. And that's being fully present. That's being fully present in that moment, in the now, here, sitting here, listening to me now, in this moment. That's what being present is. It's about noticing just the now, without any worries about the past, without any thoughts, without anything about the future, without any thoughts, just being present, being aware, being conscious in the here and the now. And it's not like a weird spiritual lesson, be in the here and now all the time. It's about living every moment consciously. It's about realizing in every moment that it's the now, that you are here now, and not in the past or in the future. Here, in this little moment. And this little moment is a part of so many little moments. And this vibration being so slow makes us realize it fits into the slide. Because up there, all of those little moments are happening at the same time. So you can scroll back on this linear line we have here and realize that is the now. You can try doing that by connecting to an experience you have had in the past and literally experiencing it again, going fully into that, reliving it, feeling the emotions again, having the same thoughts again. You might then realize it is still there. That imprint, even though you perceive it as to be linear, can still be recalled in this moment now, because it's stored in this big consciousness. And this is just so wonderful. And if you can experience everything at one time, then you can recall all of those emotions from the past and work through them. All the triggers, all the traumas, you can basically relieve them and make conscious choices this time. Heal that, transform it, integrate it. And when everything is here and now, then you can access not only your life, but you can access everything. That's like the morphogenetic field people talk about, or the Akashic Chronic. It's because everything, every single moment is now, so we can access everything all the time now. You can access your own emotions. You can access the emotion of someone else. You can access experience you have had. Everything. And that in itself is also mind-blowing. That is something your brain might not be able to handle. Because you can handle and experience not just your life. You can experience your past life, or what you call your past life. You can experience your higher self. You can experience other, what people call dimensions. Basically everything at one moment now. And this thing is that the way our brain is constructed, it's very hard for us to be able to manage all of those different things at the same time. So you are going to be aware and conscious about your life right now. And you might not be able to at the same time be managing also another life. So basically the consciousness closes off to one of them to make you be able to fully live in this one. But it's still there. You are not just realizing it. It's the same, with what you would say past experiences. You might not recall your memories, or you might not recall all the knowledge you have, because the brain just stores some of them away, because it doesn't regard it as something important, because it wasn't so strongly imprinted in your system. And that's the same with the other life. So we are here living this life, the other one being still there, and maybe also a lot of others. And there is a space which we can reach and enter where we actually experience both of these or many others at one time. So it's basically like seeing and experiencing this life and also fully living and experiencing another life, which might look totally different. And you can go so deep into that you actually live it, that you don't just see it, but you actually get everything from that. And that's just a wonderful state, but it's a place you can get lost in. So, experiencing both or many lives or things at the same time, it's kind of like a basic example, watching a movie and, I don't know, reading something on your phone at the same time. And most of the time you would even if you're doing both, you would be more focused on what you're reading, but not really getting what the movie is about. Or you would be more watching the movie and then ignoring your phone. Because also the eyes are pointed at the thing that you are more focused on right now. And reaching that higher state would basically be getting all information from the movie, watching it fully, and also getting all information from what you are reading at the phone, and doing both of that at the same time, and being able to manage all of those informations that you get, and being able to manage and do both things at the same time. That's kind of a way to show you what I mean when I say you can experience both lives or many things at one point. And that is hard. That has to do with presence. That has to be with awareness, with concentration, with letting go, with allowing your brain to live through different things at the same time without being lost in one, and also being able to manage it all without blocking something off, without it being too much. And like I said, it's not that easy for the brain, and it can become easier. But we say we have the unconscious and the conscious brain, and all those things that are stuck in the unconsciousness, so we can bring up to also work through some things, and that our conscious mind can tell us the truth about many things. So we are not able to access even all information sometimes from this life. So how will we able to manage many different lives and those things at the same time? How will you be able to manage experiencing fully this life and also experiencing fully that life? The consciousness on this level of existence is just not so big. The makeup of that is not constructed that way, but we can reach those states anyway, and that is through doing inner work. That is through evolving and reaching higher states, and you can do it, but it involves going through your own topics. Like I like to say, going into your own shit and traveling deep into that and integrating all the different parts and letting your unconscious brain, all of those things that you don't consciously experience in everyday life, be there. And there are many different ways one can do that. Some people use psychedelics, And that is something which helps to release that hold, that control that you have in your everyday life. It is there to help you let go. And it's a beautiful path that some people choose. But it's a path that doesn't have to be used. There are other ways to do that. And it's all about basically trusting the process. Because with psychedelics, there is something put into your system, some way for you, maybe a ritual or just a substance, and it influences your system. And it might even be more about the ritual in itself, the space that is set, the person guiding you, or about the substance changing things in your system. And it allows you to drop deep into yourself. It will not bring up things that are not there. It will just connect you to those deep spaces. And it might connect you to those deep spaces in you, or it might connect you to the nature spirits, to the universe, to God, to many different aspects. That those aspects are still there. It's not something that suddenly becomes alive and happens and manifests because of the psychedelic you're taking. It is just the awareness that comes with it, the mind opening and allowing you to experience that and see it. And there are ways to reach it without such a way, without psychedelics, without any external thing. But it's again sometimes hard for some people, because again it's about trust. It's about trusting yourself fully. And trust is hard. Trust is one of the hardest things we have here, because who of us really learns what trust is about, how to trust other people, how to fully open our hearts for the other, for ourselves, to not judge ourselves, to love ourselves, to truly feel ourselves with all that there is, with the pain and with the happiness. And because this kind of deep dropping in brings up so many things, we are scared to really trust it. We are scared to lose that hold of control that we have, because we don't know what will happen. And this not knowing is and can be very scary. But through that not knowing, things actually change. Because if you stay in this state of knowing and being able to handle the things, you are not going to grow, because you have mastered the thing that you are doing. If you suddenly notice your job is boring you, it's because you have mastered that, what it entitles, because you want to grow, because you want to do new things. And it's that way in every aspect of life, in your job, in your everyday life, with hobbies, with basically anything. You want to always go further and further and grow and reach higher states. And that, like I said, can happen for psychedelics, can also happen for deep relaxation, because deep relaxation will help you with letting go and surrendering. It can happen for sexuality, because sexuality also puts you in the present moment. It puts you into deep states of surrender, relaxation, love. It can just increase your level of energy and open you up energetically, because also physically you are sometimes getting opened up, through the penetration. And then the energy also can open up. And there are other ways. Some people choose more the way of discipline and control and exercising and just doing a lot of exercise, a lot of work, every day, scheduling things for them to do and really working on that. But it's not about the hard work. It's not about daily doing yoga or daily doing breath work or daily doing that and that. But that can help. That can help it become something that your body is used to. If you do breath work every day or once a week or however, it's just going to become something that is easier accessible for you. It's going to become something normal. So those states that you can reach might also become something more normal because of all of this that you are doing in your everyday practice. But you don't have to. Because it might become something that is your routine. And there will be no, not this polarity anymore. So you might not go as deep and with that not go as far. Because you will not have this full range of experience anymore. And you can choose both paths. Both are beautiful. And some people, stay with that one. Some people go for the other. Some people have routines which help them go deep, which also help them to trust themselves. But routines are usually about control. About staying fit, staying spiritual, staying connected, staying, present. All the different routines are sometimes about the fear of not being that when I stop my routine. And routines help us to deal with things. Some routines might help us to deal with our emotions. Emotional release will help us to deal with our emotions. And if we do that every day, our whole system might feel lighter. But what happens when we don't do it suddenly? Suddenly we might not be able to handle anymore. Handle life, handle everything. So all of those routines are also making us in some way addicted to that and making it harder for us to deal with that thing sometimes. So it's about managing all of that. It's about managing your routines but still handling life without them. It's not, about putting a band-aid onto something and then dealing, doing something every day which helps the band-aid stay on. It's about actually healing that thing. And it's good when those routines are helpful, but like I said, sometimes they might not be anymore. And it's all about what happens in your system when you let go of all the routines. When you let go of all the addiction, well, you let go of all those things you do on a daily basis. What happens then? What happens if you suddenly don't do your sport routine? Do you feel bad with yourself? Do you feel less energetic? Do you feel this or that? What happens if you suddenly eat something totally different than you're used to? What happens then? And that will show you how easy it is for the outside to still influence you. It means that you're not free yet, because when you reach that higher state, you don't need a routine. You don't need something fixed and physical. You don't even need that much food or any food, for example. You don't need that much sleep, maybe. And it can look very different for anyone because all people are different in a way. But there are some signs, suddenly becoming more conscious about what I'm eating and not eating that much meat and become vegetarian, vegan, raw vegan, and things like that. Or wearing clothes with better quality, or spending more time with nature, some typical things that people might do on this path. And it's all about finding that area where you can trust, let go, surrender without all the routines, and just seeing what happens in a moment where you don't have that routine. Are you able to still handle life? Are you still at peace with yourself and with everything around you? Or is something triggering you more? How is it? And it can be totally different for some people. And it will usually show itself up after a while. If you have done this routine for a long time, then it's not going to suddenly be very triggering when you don't do it anymore. But after a while, it might be. And what will you do then? Will you go back to your routine? Or will you maybe deal with that thing that is deep underneath the system, to transform it, and to not have this trigger coming up anymore. And then you might suddenly realize, oh, I don't need this routine anymore. I was just doing this routine because I wasn't looking at this and wasn't integrating it. And that might change your whole life. So when you reach that moment where you are able to stay connected with yourself, present, letting yourself be guided and not standing in the way of the flow anymore, then it all will just become aligned. It will feel as if you are not living your life yourself anymore alone, but it will feel as if you're connected to everything, and it as if all the actions, every moment, every word you speak, everything happens out of this natural flow, out of connection to God. It will just be as if God is working through you. And it's not something that is new or weird to your system. It's something that is there all the time naturally. The energy flows are still there. Being in flow is still there. But you might not be aware of it. You might not be aware of your connection to God. And then you will just not realize it. And once you realize it, then you can feel it. Or you might feel it first and then realize what it is. And it's just about also seeing the small things and doing all of those small things already in a conscious way. So how do you go about, looking at your fingers? How do you act? How do you perceive them? How are your movements? Are you moving consciously? Or are you just doing? How is it? How are you living your life every day? And those higher states can be reached basically through just doing inner work. And psychedelics can be a part of inner work. Routines can be a part of doing inner work. Sexuality can be connected to doing inner work. Relationships in general, because love and relationships trigger us. And that's why they are so beautiful. That's why those states are so powerful and beautiful, because they also have the potential to trigger us very much. And with that comes so much growth. So we are scared of love and of the pain it brings, because we are scared of the potential it holds for us to catapult ourselves in our inner growth journey. So we are still sometimes closed off to relationships, to other people, to life itself, to ourselves, because of that fear of the pain that might come with it. And when we go deeper into love, into connection, into those higher states, it might also bring up all of those traumatic, sad moments in your life, from your life. And it will be just something that is natural, that is normal, because you just have this polarity here on earth. You have the polarity, and reaching all of those higher states is connected with reaching those very deep and dark spaces. And it's not something bad, it's something beautiful, because you will know when you reach that very dark space, when you reach all that pain, it can bring the potential of so much transformation and growth, because it will want to balance itself. It will not be, going so deep here and just being here on the scale. It will be about balance. And then you will trust it more. You will suddenly be able to trust even those dark moments, because you will see the benefit in that. You will maybe find a moment where you are grateful for all that which is happening in your life and you are maybe not happy about it. Where you are grateful for tears, for anger, for pain, for triggers, for accidents, where you find something in you to accept those as part of life, to accept that they hold a lesson, that they hold beauty, that they are there to help you grow. And then you are free, because you are not getting influenced by all of that much, because you notice the benefit, because you start to love even the dark places, because you start loving that pain and that inner growth that comes with it, because you are finally able to trust that full range. And it doesn't mean you trust all of it. There is still going to be a part of you that might be scared of going even deeper. And that's fine. That helps the potential for even more growth. So you will just become connected and accept all that life holds in all its facets. And with that acceptance, with that letting go, with surrendering to the good and the bad, there will come more and more positive emotions, more and more growth. As you grow more, you reach states where you are purely happy anymore, where you are just joyful, where you are in bliss, where you feel like a little child again, experiencing life again, where everything feels wonderful, where life is full of curiosity, where it's just beautiful. You will suddenly realize that every moment can bring you happiness, that life is beautiful, that you are beautiful, that everyone is beautiful, that everything is perfect, that everything can bring joy, that eating food can bring joy, that touch can bring joy, that the sun, that the nature can bring joy, that everything is joyful. And you will reach that state where you're just pure happiness, pure joy, pure ecstasy, where you are just in bliss, where everything, every cell in your being feels ecstasy, feels vibration, feels excitement, feels happiness. And then you will just feel alive. You will feel alive with life, with the force, with the life force in you. And that also has to do with the Kundalini energy, which is basically about those polarities, the good and the bad, about the masculine and the feminine, about all polarities that we have in this world, about you accepting both, living both, knowing that both belong to life, and then your system just increasing its own energy, God moving more and more through you, going into that unity, going into oneness with all. And your whole system might change because of that. Your whole posture might change. Your emotions might feel more vivid. It will be more easier for you to reach those blissful moments, to reach ecstasy and happiness. But it will also be so much easier to access pain and anger, because you suddenly have this full range of life and both polarities in you, both the masculine aspects and living and clarity and directedness and action, and the feminine aspects, trust and surrender and emotionality. And you have both the full range of life. So you are one, because you are not just living one side, you are living both of them. And that will make you closer to God. because God is that. God is the unity of the polarity. God is the one. And this polarity, those different ways that life shows itself, are just different ways for God to show himself, or herself, or itself, however you want to call it, because it doesn't have a gender. There is no polarity up there. So the Kundalini energy is all about accepting and integrating all of those different polarities and becoming more connected with the oneness that it truly is. And an example would be temperature. You perceive cold and warmth, but it's just two ways of temperature to show itself. You perceive things as bad or good, but at the end, it's all one. It's all the perception of things. You perceive the weather to be sunny or cloudy, winter and summer, but at the end, it's just the season or the weather. So it's the one. And when you reach that state where you connect and integrate and accept both parts, where you accept all those shadows, all those painful things, you will just become the one. You will feel God working through your system. You will be connected with God. And it will be beautiful. And I think the hardest things about all of this is staying present with it. Because there might be moments where we feel so strongly connected to that, where we feel that oneness, that connection to everything, where we feel allness and oneness together, where we feel everything and nothing, where, all those polarities merge. And there might be moments where we get caught in life again, where we get caught in anger, in our own issues, in life. It's not issues, it's beauty. And there might be moments where we forget that connection, where we're not conscious anymore, where we just don't have it present in our life. And that is fine. That is okay. You don't want to pressure yourself to be in that state all the time. You don't want to put so much expectation on yourself. You want to trust it. You want to let go of that control, of that need for it to be there. You just want to trust it. And those states of not being connected, of not feeling that oneness, of not feeling that connection to yourself, of not being aware, of not being conscious, not being present, those moments have a beauty in them, because it's all about the polarity, right? So we experience that, where we feel just lost again, maybe, where we just feel disconnected, where we might not feel as good, where we go back to our old past triggers, depression, whatever, And those states are there to remind ourselves even more about the state of oneness, about the beauty, about the connection, about presence, consciousness, awareness. Because through those states, we learn to grasp onto those even more. We learn to become more and more connected, because we might notice what is causing us to become disconnected. What is going on? What do I still have to transform? Maybe there is a fear, maybe there is a trigger. And then I can work through all of this to stay more present, more conscious, more aware for a longer period of time, where you just continuously work on yourself and stay in that flow. And then something might happen again, and you will go back again to not being aware. And this is just display of life. This is the polarity about God and consciousness, being conscious and being unconscious, being present and not being present. So the more unpresent, the more unaware, the more unconscious you are at some moments, then you might become more and more conscious in every moment. This is also the polarity, and it's the beauty of it. Again, it's just wonderful. And the goal would be to stay connected all the time, to stay present all the time. But, that's a perfection most of us will not be able to reach. And the goal is there. I feel like that's the most important part about all of this work. It's about those little moments where you experience oneness, where you experience the connection, when you experience God. And those little moments will give you something to hang on, some hope, something to reach. When you experience those states of bliss and ecstasy, you will not settle for less. You will want to experience more. You will want to experience connection, presence, consciousness, God, ecstasy, bliss, happiness, joy. All of that. You will just want to experience life because you know it's possible, because you know how beautiful it is. And that is just wonder in itself. I hope you can feel the excitement that I'm portraying to you and the happiness that I hold. And I want you to know that all of this also comes with a lot of peace, serenity, with being at peace with oneself, with being at peace with all that surrounds us, with welcoming everything, with being connected to everything, with your system being quiet, with your thoughts and emotions being at peace, with your body being at peace without pain, without any illnesses. It's about the whole system aligning and being at peace with your higher being, with God. So it will feel like a state that is very open and quiet and settled, serenity, peace, awareness. Trust. And from that state, you can face your life in another way. You are not afraid to face your triggers anymore because you trust that it will only help you grow. You are not that afraid of your own fear anymore because you trust that will make you grow and connect you to the source even more. And it all just might also feel like pure energy, pure vibration, a current in your system. You might feel the aliveness of the air, the aliveness of the physical form, every particle moving, vibrating, just feeling that energy that is there for you to experience. You might feel it, and you might also see it, because with those higher states of consciousness also come more and more abilities, because your system opens up to that energy. It opens us up to yourself. So you suddenly might get psychic abilities, becoming more clairvoyant, being more empathic, all of those things. And there are those ones which are easier to access and are like a bit lower, like clairvoyance and hearing, sensing, tasting, smelling things. And there are those ones which are also higher, which are things like superpowers, what some would call them. The ability to create fire, to influence the weather, to levitate, and those things can be also used in a bad way. That's why it's so important to reach a state of consciousness where you don't want to do those bad things. Those gifts will basically be only given to people which are ready for them, because you don't want to have people who are able to create fire and then burn things down. You don't want to have people who are able to control minds and use that in a bad way to hurt the world. You want to have people who reach those abilities, which are conscious about life, about God. And once you reach that state of connection, of that higher consciousness, there will be no question about doing the good or the bad. You will choose the good, because you will not be hurting an animal, because you will not want to hurt anyone else, because you feel them in your system. You feel it all as a part of yourself, so you will not be hurting others, because you would be hurting yourself, because it would all the existence would be a part of you, is a part of you, and you become conscious about it. It is still a part of you, even if you are not conscious about it. But once you become conscious about it, you will not be able to ignore it anymore. And that might also bring difficulties. On this path, for example, of becoming vegan, raw vegan, you might have moments where you even feel as if you are hurting plants, where you feel the life energy of the plant and you don't want to eat it. Or you feel the plant, but it has very little life energy and you don't want to put that into your system because it would lower your own energy. You might realize it's not that easy for you to be around people anymore because they lower your frequency. And then it's about your own stability, your own groundedness, your own level of energy. How able am I to stay in my high vibrational energy without letting myself be influenced by other people's low energy, without letting myself be influenced by energy of a place that is low, without letting myself be influenced by low energy food? How able am I to stay in that high energy all the time without others or things lowering it? And there will be moments where it is lowered, where you eat something and suddenly the energy gets lowered. And there might be moments where it doesn't matter what you eat because it doesn't influence your energy, because your energy just basically blows through all of that because it's so strong. And both are possible. And I think the most important part about all of this is accepting that there will be people with a lesser consciousness than you, not being that aware, not being that present. And there will always be people who are also above you, more conscious, more aware, wiser. And it's just this conscious cycle. And it's like a ladder in some way. And it's good. Because for you at this moment, you have to accept that there are things which you don't know. That there are things you might not know you don't know. You might not know how God feels or energy feels, but you might also not even know that there is an energy to feel, that there is a God to feel. So you have to accept that. You have to accept that there will always be a possibility for there to even be even more. And with that comes a lot of humility. It's about not judging, not feeling that you are higher than others, that you are, better than them. It's about accepting and really truly feeling that all of that is godly. Even things you feel that are not conscious and not present, even if you have people in your life who you feel like they should do more inner work, it's not about judging them. It's about welcoming them as part of God, as a manifestation of God. And you are not better than them. You might just be more aware of your connection, but they are still connected to God. They have it too. So stay human on this journey. Even if you feel your soul, spirit, and God working for you, stay human. Stay connected with your everyday life. Master your life here as a personality. Master your life. And for mastering those small details, you will be able also to master more. Because the universe will only give you the lessons you are ready for. It will only give you things which you can manage. So trust it. Trust it and surrender to that flow. And also act it. Live it out. Bring it into this world. Don't just feel flowy and connected all the time. Bring that into the world. Use your polarity. Use the feminine and masculine aspects. Bring all of that into action. Bring it into the world. Bring that connection to God. Bring the source. Bring awareness, consciousness into this world through you. Just like God is bringing His energy into you. Bring your own energy, your own way of showing God in this world out there to others. That might bring them and the whole humanity to transform more, to reach those states of God quicker. My brain, this masculine aspect, is telling me to look at my notes if I have talked about all the things I wanted to talk about. And I have. I trusted the flow and it happened. So I'm very happy with it. It shows me again that I can trust myself even better, even more. Thank you for being here. I feel like the last part I want to share with you is not about any of those practical spiritual things. It's just about myself and how this happened for me. Basically, I started to trust going into my own shit, going into the darkness and facing myself. I started to learn to let go of addictions, to let go of things which are taking me away from all that. It happened also a lot through sexuality, through emotional release, through breath work, through inner work, inner child work, integrating shadow aspects, integrating parts which I have forced away. So it's all about just inner growth and trusting that process, going deep into your own self. So that's my recommendation for you. Trust yourself and go deep with yourself into your darkness. And then experience more light. Thank you for being here.